Ada Blackjack, the forgotten survivor of Wrangel Island, in the icy desolation of the Arctic, where the sun disappears for months and death waits in the wind. One woman's unthinkable resilience turned tragedy into legend. This is the forgotten story of Ada Blackjack. An Inuit seamstress from Alaska, Ada was never meant to be an explorer. But in 1921, poverty and desperation drove her to join a doomed expedition to Wrangel Island, a barren, ice-locked scrap of land in the Chukchi Sea. The mission would claim every life but hers. Born in 1898 in Solomon, Alaska, Ada Blackjack was a child of hardship. Orphaned at 8, she was sent to a Methodist mission school where she learned English and sewing, a skill that would later save her life. By 23, Ada had endured a failed marriage and crippling poverty. To provide for her ailing son, Bennett, she answered a call for a seamstress on an Arctic expedition led by Canadian explorer Vilhjalmur Stephenson. Wrangel Island, a windswept, frozen wasteland north of Siberia, was the target of Stephenson's obsession. He hoped to claim it for Canada. What he sent instead was a poorly supplied, ill-prepared team. The expedition team consisted of Alan Crawford, Lorne Knight, Milton Gall, Fred Maurer, and one reluctant Ada Blackjack. Accompanied by the expedition cat, Vic, they set sail in September 1921. Conditions worsened rapidly. The island's brutal cold, scarcity of game, and relentless isolation gnawed at the group's morale. With supply ships unable to reach them, starvation crept in. Ada chronicled their descent. She watched her companions wither from scurvy and hunger. Lorne Knight's condition deteriorated first. By winter's grip, he could no longer stand. In January 1923, 3 of the men left in a desperate bid to seek help across the ice. They vanished into the endless white, never to be seen again. Ada was left alone to care for the dying Knight. With no medical training and limited supplies, she nursed him for weeks. When he finally succumbed, Ada, now utterly alone, turned all her focus to survival. She braved polar bears, frigid winds, and gnawing hunger. She fashioned makeshift tools, hunted what little game she could, and repaired clothing with sinew and thread. Her faith and determination were her only companions. Days blurred into weeks, weeks into months. Ada developed survival skills beyond what anyone expected. She built makeshift shelters with driftwood and animal hides, set primitive snares for small game, and even managed to fend off a prowling polar bear with a rifle she'd learned to use by necessity. Each day was a brutal test of will. She fashioned makeshift snow goggles from driftwood to prevent snow blindness and scavenged supplies from abandoned campsites. At night, she clung to her Bible, speaking aloud to God and to her lost son. In one entry, she wrote, "I will not die, for Bennett needs me." Ada faced the long polar night alone, a staggering psychological ordeal. The unending dark, the howling winds, and the oppressive silence could drive even seasoned explorers mad. But Ada endured. After nearly 2 harrowing years, a rescue ship, the Donaldson, reached Wrangel Island in August 1923. They found a skeletal Ada Blackjack, weak but alive. The world briefly marveled at her survival. Newspapers dubbed her the female Robinson Crusoe. But Ada shunned the spotlight. She returned quietly to Nome and to Bennett, using her modest earnings to care for him. Yet the aftermath was far from a fairy tale. Ada was never compensated properly for her ordeal. The expedition's organizers evaded responsibility, and Ada faced prejudice both for her Inuit heritage and for surviving when others did not. Despite these hardships, Ada remained devoted to her family. She later remarried and continued working as a seamstress, living a quiet, humble life. In the vast, indifferent wilderness of the Arctic, Ada Blackjack endured, not as an explorer, but as a mother, a survivor, and a testament to the unyielding strength of the human spirit. Her story, buried for decades, reminds us that history is shaped not only by the famous, but by the quiet, resilient souls who endure when no one else can.